I was just going to say, we have Ryan Phillippe in the background now.
Guest host Ryan Phillippe, who's from
Delaware's
Delaware.
own Ryan Phillippe.
Yeah, Greg thought it was Justin Timberlake.
He did think it was. To be fair, it's Ryan Phillippe from Cruel Intentions, where he does have this kind of ramen haircut.
A combination between him, Justin Timberlake, and Ruth from Ozark. Yeah,
Ruth from Ozark.
Definitely looks like him. I don't know where I got that poster from. It's shameful. Shameful.
Shameful.
Welcome to the Guys
That's
Who
our theme song.
Cry podcast. I'm wearing another pair of crazy sunglasses, but we're going to take them off so we lower the douche factor. Is that okay?
Yeah. He has the Canadian tuxedo right now.
I love the Canadian tuxedo.
It's a good look if you can pull it off.
It's just it's like it's uniform. It's shows you can get dirty with your hands maybe, but you're also slightly metrosexual.
You might be a country music star.
You might not like country music at all, and you hate getting your hands dirty. Because no, I like getting my hands dirty.
What a good episode we have today.
Amazing.
Another one of the Chopped alumni on the show from the finale. Self-proclaimed bad bitch. Lauren Windham is on the show, everybody. Woo.
Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So he said self-proclaimed bad bitch. Was that your title you gave yourself?
There are in one day of filming of Chopped, it's like a full 15 hours. You say so much stuff and they can splice whatever they want. I guess at some point I said I was a bad bitch. It was probably after I won that first episode. And it was in this teeny clip in the promos. Where it was literally a second and I said, I am a bad bitch. And my tone was kind of it's almost like the interviewer was questioning it. And I was like, well, of course I am. So yeah, I guess that's where it came from.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
We were texting last week and the week before. So I think what's been amazing is that we have the Final Four have a group chat now.
We do.
We do. And it's pretty regularly that we're texting each other. Matt just texted us yesterday and Tuesday and told us to have a happy Monday, that kind of thing.
Yes.
It's been fun. Yeah. We were talking about some of the things we're just tired of hearing us say on those promos and commercials. It was getting kind of annoying.
Yeah, because
this is my destiny. I was
right.
hearing it obviously wasn't my destiny.
I was like, if I have to hear myself say this could change my life one more time, I'm gonna lose it.
Because you had to shoot these little scripted promos of yourself that they would interject throughout to sort of introduce you, give you almost like a little bio, right? But they weren't scripted. They didn't write them down for you, but you had to think about what you wanted to say beforehand, right? Lauren or Reuben, yeah.
I would say half and half. I would say 90% of the interviews that we did throughout the day were just our answers to their questions. But sometimes these are professional people who are interviewing for good TV. And so they would be say that again, but maybe reword it in this way to really pop on the screen. So I think that's maybe where the "this is my destiny" thing came from.
Well,
but who knows?
That's hard because that's like acting. You're taking direction from a director, and if you don't feel capable of responding to that information, that critique, and then changing it's hard to do. People definitely don't give actors enough credit. Did you feel nervous about doing that, or feel like you couldn't do it? Or you obviously did a great job, but.
Thank you. I mean, I wasn't too nervous about it. There's so much going on in your mind. You're excited. You're just you're mostly nervous about cooking.
Right.
And then the interviewing is it's an adrenaline rush. It's fun. That part was fun for me, especially when they're coming up and being let's get the grease off your face.
You did say that was a problem.
A lot. Why are you so sweaty? It's oh, I don't know. I just had to cook an entree in 30 minutes, but I would say it was more fun than anything.
Okay.
I wasn't too nervous. And once you win, you're on a high and you're ready to do whatever they say and say whatever you want to say 80 times until they get the right clip.
That's awesome. And I think once you start practicing, you start doing a couple of things, you get into it too. So you get used to the cameras and everything. So I wanted to set this up. So for anyone who didn't see the episodes, there were 2 rounds to Chopped. So, Lauren, you filmed a first episode with another group of people where you won, and then you made it to the second final round where you met Reuben, and there were 2 others, so it was 4 total in the second round. And you guys all shot all that stuff that week.
In a week.
Yes,
it was
5 episodes, 5 days.
5 episodes, 5 days. That's with all the contestants, and then it narrows down to the final 4. So you shot at the beginning of that week, and then you had to wait to shoot the final one later?
I did. I was actually in the first group to film, which is interesting because on TV I was battle 4, but I filmed day 1, and then I had 3 days in between to sort of just like sit in my hotel room and freak out a little bit, and then film again.
That's awesome. Okay.
So
did you actually get to go out at all while you were waiting around? Did you like kind of explore the city, Nashville? Or anything?
Weren't supposed to, you know. I didn't want to like hole up in my apartment the whole time. We weren't supposed to because of COVID, and like if someone would have gotten sick on camera, then the whole like 5 episodes would have been sort of ruined. So I tried to kind of abide by those rules as much as possible. I did explore Knoxville.
Sorry. Yeah, it's in Knoxville. Yeah.
No worries. For one day, just like went to a couple restaurants, went to a brewery. But I really wanted to get sleep and to really just like focus on why I was there. So
yeah, 100%. That's really cool. So yeah, it did take place in Knoxville.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just geographically, where are you calling us from now, Lauren?
I live in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
Hotlanta.
And you've been there all your life?
No, I was born and raised in Winter Park, Florida. Went to Auburn University, moved to France for a year, moved to Napa Valley for 5 years, LA for 1, and then came back to Atlanta because all my girlfriends and their husbands are here in Atlanta after leaving Auburn, which is like an hour and a half. Atlanta was sort of our weekend spot. So, you know, I just turned 31. And so I was sort of ready to move back to where my people were.
Did you study culinary in France?
No. So I moved to France just to be an au pair because I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my bachelor's degree in psychology. Sure. So I was an au pair, I always kind of dreamed about going to culinary school. And when I went to France, I fell in love with the restaurants. I fell in love with the ingredients, like the freshest ingredients from the most beautiful, elaborate markets.
Wow.
And then when part of my time in France, I was in Marseille, and my host mom had worked under Chef Alain Ducasse.
Oh, snap. Big name.
Yeah. So we cooked together like every single night for the family. And she was like, Lauren, like, it's your dream to go to culinary school. You clearly love to cook. Why don't you just apply? So I applied to the Culinary Institute of America. I got accepted and moved to Napa Valley.
Wow.
And how old were you when this happened?
I was 24 when I started culinary school. I'm 31 now.
And so this is what I found interesting. How did they find you for Chop?
They DM'd me on Instagram. And I actually asked them, I was like, how did you find me on Instagram? And they said they were looking at different restaurants in the Atlanta area, and they went to King and Duke, which is the restaurant that I work at. They went to King and Duke's tagged pictures. And there was a picture of me because I had just gotten back into kitchens. Like I had gone front of house for the last 5 years because I was like, I hate professional kitchens. I don't want to do it anymore. It's not my forte. And then 5 years later, I was like, I hate people. I don't deal with hospitality. I like got in trouble a couple times for snapping at guests when they were just like really getting to me. So I was like, I should probably like curl back up in the kitchen and start cooking again. So I like posted on Facebook that I was back in kitchens after 5 years of selling wine on the floor, hosting, being a front of house manager or whatever. And they found that picture and they messaged me, and I was like, I feel like this is not real, but if this is real, it's so cool, and I'm definitely doing it.
We have a lot of skepticism, our generation, being reached out to on Instagram. Like,
Oh, I get these like, hey, love your profile, let's collab all the time. And I'm like, this is weird, and no.
Yeah. How did you know it was real? Like, what verification did you have? Like, you just went to their page and saw, this is a verified, legit Instagram page?
I think they sent, if I went back, like dug through my messages, but I think they sent a link, and I went to the link on my computer and it seemed legitimate. And so I just continued with the process. And like, once someone from Food Network or Discovery Plus is like setting up an hour and a half long FaceTime interview with you, you're kind of invested at that point. You're like, okay, I guess this is real. So
yeah. This is like online dating. This is how not to get catfished on online dating. Do a video call first. Just kidding. No, but that's great. That makes a lot of sense. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then you said family from Florida. Siblings, mom, dad?
I have one sister.
Okay.
She lives in Santa Barbara. She's about 5 years older than me. She's in Santa Barbara with her husband and her 11-month-old.
What are your how do your interests vary? Does she cook at all, like in this at the same level, or is she interested?
We are very different. Absolutely love my sister. You know, I'm a little bit more organized. She's a little less organized. She was always more like academic. I was more creative. And I think, you know, she's been into like marketing and some sales and advertising and things like that. Where I think because I always loved like art class and crafts and producing something as I was growing up, I feel like that's probably why I ended up in cooking.
Got it.
My sister is great. She follows recipes to a T when she cooks, and usually just gets like some pre-made stuff at Whole Foods and whatever. But she's great.
That's cool.
We just have very different talents and strengths.
That's good. Just gives us a little bit of background, you know, who you are, where you come from, and all that kind of stuff. It's cool to see.
I'm close with my sister, even though we're like 2,000 miles apart. She's a wonderful person, and I have followed in her footsteps for a very long time. So it's kind of fun to finally have my own path, you know?
Oh, heck yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
So going back to Chop, so our episode, we all met. I have to be honest, man, meeting in that hotel lobby at like 6:45 in the morning is like pretty jarring for everybody. We're like, oh, you're Chop. All right, cool.
Yeah.
And like, I was exhausted. I couldn't get any sleep that night.
I'm sure.
Like, I was so hopped up on adrenaline. I was waking up every hour and a half. Like, oh my gosh, what's going on?
Well, because you filmed the day before the finale.
Yeah.
Oh, you're back to back.
Yeah,
She had some time to rest, right?
But like, I don't know if anybody really had any leg up on anybody else. Like, you could argue that I had momentum going into the finale because I had just done it. And then you could argue that like Lauren maybe had a little bit more. It's like when like you watch like a sports team and like they like sweep a team and you're like, well, they got a bunch of games off. You know? And I don't know. It was so fun to talk to everybody. I know like Paco was like laser focused.
And it's so funny because I was chatting with him kind of recently, and he was like, you know, to be honest, like, he was like, I didn't mean to come off and like cold at all. I wasn't really there to make friends. I wasn't there to lose though. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't there to win, but I wasn't there to lose. And you know, like hearing his like mentality, it's so fun to see people's mindsets going to this show. And like what you want out of it. So
yeah, that bus ride was so interesting because I am a very extroverted person. And you and Matt were definitely extroverted, but Paco had his headphones in. He wasn't talking to anybody. I think I was kind of like, oh, this guy is. I mean, it's.
I was scared.
Yeah. I was like, oh, this guy's here to win. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, this guy, I was just there to have fun.
Right.
I feel like I already won an episode.
Yeah.
Anything else is just like icing on the cake at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I went into it, my attitude going into the finale, like you have like this little extra boost of confidence when you win the first time, but anything can happen. And I couldn't even believe that I won the first time. But you also like, once you have the feeling of winning, you just can't imagine losing.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why I was so upset the rest of the day. Like they don't show a ton of my tears on the show. But I was crying like literally all day. I was so sad.
A lot of emotion.
We can get to that. But.
Well, and the gentleman Paco, I remember him talking about like his family and stuff, and it sounded. I feel like he had a lot more like at stake in terms of what he could be doing to, you know, better his family situation, because he had a couple of kids. I think, I don't know if he was married, but yeah,
it felt like he had a lot to prove, right, Lauren? I feel like that's what I got from him, that he was like watching his episodes, like, oh, he's out to prove something.
Right.
Yeah. And, he said he had kids starting at 18, and like, I've never experienced that, and I couldn't imagine me at 18 as a single parent raising kids. Like, no, like hats off to Paco.
Yeah.
To still be like present and proving to them that he is an amazing father,
Yeah.
So
I should have kids to motivate myself to do more things. I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding. No, but actually curious, Lauren, what motivates you generally in life? Like, do you kind of get up every day like, okay, I'm going to accomplish all these tasks, and when I finish work, I'm going to hit this next goal, I'm going to work out, I'm going to do whatever? Or you kind of more take things as things come in life, or are you pretty goal driven, ambitious?
I'm pretty like day-to-day checklist driven.
Yeah. Okay.
Like every day I wake up, I make my coffee, I make my bed, I do my skincare routine. Those are like my big things. At work, I go into work knowing I have a list of things to do. And the thing is, with my job now, my workspace is the expediting pass for service. So I have to be cleaned up by 4:45 so that chef can put food on the pass at 5 p.m. So I have to be very regimented with my days. Generally, I think that's just, I've always kind of been, I call myself a recovering perfectionist. I'm trying not to be like crazy throughout my days, because life is life and anything can happen. But I would say like what keeps me motivated is knowing that like there's so many exciting milestones in my life that haven't happened yet.
Yeah.
And I know they're going to happen, and I'm so excited for them. So I have so much to look forward to in life, and my life is already really good right now. So that's kind of what's keeping me going. That's what makes me want to stay healthy and happy and, be good to people, treat people well, do good at my job, etc.
Great perspective.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of like being motivated, watching the finale, and I was watching it with like my parents, and like there was a big watch party last week again when I was in Pittsburgh, and it was so cool to see Manit just encouraging you, like pushing you, and I was like, this is so amazing. I'm so glad that they aired that little snippet of her coming up to you and talking like after.
She was one of the judges.
Yeah. So what they do is after you get chopped and you walk out, they make you film that again. So they make you come back in and take your mark and walk out again. So they get 2 shots of you walking. And so I guess when you came back, she came up to you and she said,
yeah, Manit ran up to me. She was like, Lauren, stay in the industry. We need strong women like you in this industry. And it just gave me this like extra boost. And you know what's funny is that I think that really hit home with a lot of like, I don't know who all was watching the show, right? But I had a good handful of people that I don't even know, females, reach out to me on Instagram or like Facebook Messenger and be like, hey, I really love to see the interaction that you and Manit had on the show. It was so empowering. It's so rare to see women in the industry succeed, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wow, I'm really glad Food Network chose that route with like, they can splice anything through a 15-hour day of shooting, right? And that was a 3-second snippet that really impacted people.
Yeah.
So it was cool.
It's a pretty diverse and inclusive cast too when you think about it, which I think is really good. Get people from all walks of life. It seems like that. I don't know.
So it was funny. Somebody said it was so funny that Lauren's was the last episode to air, because somebody was like, do you think The Fix was in because they wanted a woman in the finale? And I was like, fun story. She was actually the first one to film. So no, you guys are wrong.
That was my fear too. I was like, oh no, like I'm the 4th one to air. Everyone's going to think, oh, well, they needed a female to be in the finale. So she had to win by default. And it's like, darn it. No, I was the first to win.
Yeah, I was very quick to correct people. I was like, no. She was the first one to film, so
that's great.
You could say The Fix was in to get a brown guy in there. I guess another brown guy. I don't know.
No, but that's cool to know the behind the scenes stuff, because oftentimes people would think certain things are written as a conspiracy, or a movie was designed intentionally like this to convey this certain message. And sometimes that's true, but sometimes things just happen sort of by chance, and because people are actually competent and skilled at what they're doing, not because they're trying to play somebody. So very interesting.
It was a special moment.
And you said you were pretty like steadfast in not wanting to make that a thing, right? Like, I'm the woman that beat these guys. Like,
yeah, during filming, and I remember them saying that specifically after I won my episode. I said, look, I know that there's a whole thing about like it being difficult to be a female in this industry. I don't want to highlight that. People will, I'm sure people will notice, like there were 3 other male contestants in my episode and I ended up winning it, but I don't want to highlight that. That's not like, I want to feel totally equal with this. I won because I can cook well under a time constraint. It was literally during my very first interview. I was like, I don't want to mention the fact that I'm a female beating male contestants. I just don't even want to entertain the idea. They, of course they touched on it a little bit. It was through Manit's encouragement, not through my interviews.
Yes.
And I think that's different,
100%.
That's how it should be. I think
the whole like being a female chef, sometimes it's challenging, but that's kind of a worn out thing to talk about for me, from what I've experienced. I've heard it a million times.
It's funny because like, have you watched the new Iron Chef at all on Netflix? So one of my favorite chefs is on there, Esther Choi. And like, I don't even think about the fact that she's a woman like half the time. I'm like, she's just a great chef. Like, I would never feel the need to be like, and she's a woman. Like, it's like, take that, corporate America. Like,
cooking.
Yeah, and like, she's awesome. Like, there was a bunch of like really amazing female chefs on that show, and like, I didn't even think about it. I was like, oh man,
that's pretty cool. Did we hear your cat meow in the background? Is your cat there?
Yeah, we're pretty sure we heard.
Can we see your cat?
So I have 2 of them, but
there she is.
Yes.
Ina is named after Ina Garten.
Is named after what?
Well, how fun is that?
After Ina Garten.
Oh, I have to Google that too.
The Food Network lady, man.
Oh, man, I don't know.
Dude, her story is crazy. She was like a White House, like something or another.
Yes. She was a White House chef. I think she cooked for the White House for a while. And then she, at some point, she started her career by opening, like, I'm sorry, my cat's in this thing.
No, it's awesome.
It's amazing. Everybody likes cats, yeah.
Okay,
cool. Show your cat more.
Yeah. Oh,
so your cat's name is Ina.
Like Ina Garten. That's her name.
Katie.
Yeah.
Well, and like Jeffrey is like some like a physicist or something. I feel like he does something pretty crazy. Like he makes a lot of money.
He does something pretty crazy too. Gosh, I wish I knew. And sometimes I wish I named my male cat, who looks just like the other cat y'all saw before we started recording was my other cat. They look exactly the same, but I kind of wish I would have named him Jeffrey.
What's his name?
Mr. Sugar.
Mr. Sugar.
Mr. Sugar, typical cat name.
It works.
That's good. Ina's pretty classy. Mr. Sugar's.
Thank you.
I like Mr. Sugar. That's awesome. Did you grow up with animals? Cats, dogs?
I did. I had 1 cat, 1 dog growing up. It was fun. Or 2 cats, 1 dog. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Good times.
Oh my goodness.
I wanted to ask about that because I thought that was interesting. We'll just talk about opportunities.
Yeah, for sure.
So what I realized after watching this the second round of the finale, when the judges were saying, hey, look, we want you to work for me. And the next judge, no, we want you to work for me. I was like, okay, I see how this works. But I was thinking, okay, so all 3 judges are looking for people, not just one. So if the one judge gives a job to somebody, I'm like, well, the other 2 people still like want positions or have positions open. So I'm thinking, well, I guess there are opportunities open for even the people who don't win. And that seemed to be prove true for you guys, at least being able to have some talks about some opportunities, right?
Absolutely. I mean, this industry is so hungry for workers who are competent, reliable, motivated. And I think the 4 of us are extremely competent, reliable, motivated, inspiring. Like, I mean, that's how I view you three, or like Reuben, Matt, and Paco, you know, like to be able to work alongside them any day, I would be honored, you know? So I think, yes, of course, like the job offer is going to be extended to the one winner of the competition. But I mean, these judges know who's cooking in front of them, not to make us seem any type of way, but they're not going to let the opportunity to connect with us and vice versa. You know, we're not going to we competitors are not going to let the opportunity go to connect with these judges when we are talking to them from 3 feet away.
Yeah.
So they're definitely, you know, I think we all made connections with all 3 judges.
That's awesome.
I mean, we've all been in contact.
I think it's great, especially with that level of exposure. I feel like there's no real losers, which is good. But
there weren't, yeah.
Do you guys know if the winner actually ends up making more money? Have any idea? No numbers, no figures, but any idea?
I have zero.
That is an audience curiosity. Like,
you know, we're wondering too, because we just, I don't know.
You don't know specific offers.
Talked about.
Makes sense.
The monetary award and the job award were talked about, but we don't really know what the total.
Yeah. I was just curious. Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair.
We don't know.
My selfish little sneaky questions.
There is a hold on. You know what is fun? Here's I know, right? We should get Paco on to talk about his past and everything. You got some free like makeup and stuff, didn't you?
Okay, skincare. So I'm like obsessed with my skin. When I turned 30, I was immediately like, wow, skincare. I've been trying to be tan my whole life and I am not tan. It's never going to happen for me. And so I just started being like, oh my gosh, obsessed with skincare. And so I recently started using this company like a year and a half ago called Barefaced. And what's funny is that I sent them the promo video with me in it. And they're like catchphrase is "skin so good."
Wow.
And I messaged the owner of the company and her team, and I said, "Skin so good for the lights, camera, action." Well, thank you. And they were so excited for me. This company just started like 3 years ago, and it's all women, and they were thrilled. They were thrilled for me, and they were like, "What's your email address? Check your email." And yeah, they were like, "What products are you using? Tell us any of your concerns." They were like, "How about we just send you a restock of all the products you order?" And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like, honestly, probably like $700 worth of stuff.
Wow.
So, and so I haven't gotten it yet. So I don't want to like put the cart before the horse, but they said they were like so excited for me. And yeah.
It's great. You get to promote it here. You can promote it on, I guess I don't know how else you would promote it on Instagram or whatever. Yeah.
Barefaced by Jordan Harper, ladies and gentlemen.
We're trying to get a sponsorship.
Yeah. We'll put the link right here somewhere.
Yes.
Barefaced. That's awesome.
Here's something that I felt like I got to experience that I feel like maybe you didn't get, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. I felt like I had a whole month of like reveling in this victory, right? Like talking with people. I got a chance to like interview and like do newspaper articles and stuff. Have you had the chance to do anything like that since, or was it just such a quick turnaround that
it was a pretty quick turnaround. There hasn't been too much, because it was much more of like a high low,
right?
Really quickly, not to mention like, for the first episode, since I knew, or my winning episode, since I knew I won, I was like gassing myself up for it. And I was like telling everyone, sharing the links, like being so like just sort of obnoxious, probably obnoxious on my Instagram stories, posting as much as possible. And then when the finale was going to air, I was like, finale coming up. And like, I had my moment. And my moment was those like 4 or 5 days of like endless congrats on Instagram, congrats on text message, whatever. And then the finale. So I didn't really like do any of the interviews, newspaper articles, things like that. Not to mention like there's so much happening. There's so much going on in Atlanta. I'm not really sure if people care.
I think you'd be surprised though.
Really?
100%. I think a lot of that is self-promotion. So,
Probably.
like, I reached out to our local newspaper. So we were lucky enough to get somebody reach out about the podcast last year. And so I had his contact. I was like, hey, just a heads up, I'm going to be on Chop. Like, I didn't tell him what the result was. And then they did a follow-up article and then they did like the actual article like the day before the finale aired. And I think a lot of that was because I did reach out to a lot of people, say, hey, I want to do this interview. Hey, I want to do this interview. And like, I reached out to like a local news channel, and I think you'd be surprised at how many people would be like, oh, we want this person, this face. I mean, you're a face now. You're out there on in the media. You gotta capitalize on this line.
Yeah. So I will say that I did try reaching out to like a local Atlanta newspaper, didn't hear anything back, but I mean, they probably get there's so much crazy stuff that happens in Atlanta. Like, who knows? I did reach out to my high school. I reached out to my university, Auburn. And I reached out to the Culinary Institute of America, all three of which promoted me on their social media, Facebook or LinkedIn. Nice. So, that was fun for sure. And who knows? I feel like this is just a start for all of us.
100%.
Well, you said that earlier. I think that's good to think about, especially in our 30s, because like it's really the beginning of, you get this experience in your career, and the 30s is like the beginning of that. Well, now I have experience to use to build on top of, and then this is such a sort of a maybe once in a lifetime sort of opportunity you can build on, and once you have that exposure, you can do something like promote your own YouTube channel or use it to get other opportunities and other jobs. So it's really exciting to see where you guys go from here for sure.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I feel like your 30s are kind of when you like really start getting there with what you're going to do, because now you're more confident, like you're more self-assured, you have a better idea of like what you're actually passionate about, rather than like in your 20s where you're kind of exploring and like, oh, if I go this route, am I going to fail? It's like, well, now that we all want Chopped, we know we can cook. Like, if anything, that gave me the boost of confidence that I need to like go forth with my culinary career and be like, yeah, I can cook. And I can cook under pressure.
100%.
Yeah.
And 30s are better too.
Yeah.
I'm going to change the subject here. 30s are good too for dating and romance, because
it's only a matter of time. That was the worst segue.
No.
In the history of this show.
No, but if you think about like careers a little bit more, I always talk about this with my therapist. He's like, oh, getting older he's in his 50s. He's like, oh, getting older is great because you're just more established with everything. You're a little more established in career. You know more what you want. You can sort of control your moods and your temperament a little bit better. And even with dating, like, a lot of people go through their first marriage and first set of kids in their 20s. When you get to your 30s, like, you're either looking up, maybe you're dating older, you're dating maybe a little bit younger with people who they kind of have their act together. Because I did want to ask you, you said you have a boyfriend.
I do.
And how did you meet your boyfriend, if you don't mind me asking? Through Hinge.
Yes. Ooh, I have such a good follow-up question for that, though.
Thank you.
Yes.
How long after you guys started talking did you tell him about the Chop thing?
You know what? I looked at our initial conversation on Hinge, and he was like, what are you up to this morning? And I was like, I'm writing a recipe. And that recipe was my like ingredients that they needed for the biopack.
Oh.
You know how when they filmed the video and you did like a steak dish. Well, you don't see my finished dish, but it's like a piece of fish on like something simple, but it was like fish with like celery root puree and like a little bit of like microgreens, something salad with a citrus vinaigrette. And I was just like writing out the ingredients for that so that the producers could do their grocery shopping. And so I looked back at our initial text because I screenshotted them because I was like, if this is my person, this is hilarious to look back at. And he was like, what are you up to? And I was like, I'm writing a recipe. And it was for the promo video.
Huh.
So I told him, we were chatting a little bit in January during filming, but like in the past 4 years, I have been on so many Hinge dates and so many like big eye roll dates that I'm like, Nope. So I wasn't taking anything seriously until it was like worth taking seriously. And this guy, I was like, okay, you're the real deal. I'm going to let you stick around. And
How quickly did you kind of know that? Was it the first couple of conversations you're like, oh, something's a little bit different about this guy? Or did it take a couple of dates to figure that out?
So we were chatting like pretty much it was spotty in January. I ghosted him in January.
Okay.
I was like, he's just another Hinge guy. In February, I went to Cabo and I was texting him, but I was doing Cabo things. And then in March, we had our first date. We went to a Hawks game. And did that just cut out?
No. You went to an Atlanta Hawks game? Like
Hawks game.
We went to an Atlanta Hawks game.
That's basketball.
Oh, is that basketball?
That's basketball, Adam.
Wait, that's NBA?
Yeah.
The Atlanta
Adam was like, yes, Hawks.
Oh.
Totally.
Okay, I didn't even know that was an NBA team. That's really funny. Okay.
I didn't know what sport it was either. All I said was, I don't get many days off a week. A sport game is a long time. If we don't like each other, then that's a lot of my day that I have to spend with you if I don't like you.
Right.
And when he showed up at my house, I felt like my best friend had just walked in to pick me up.
Wow.
Hang out. Oh. And yeah. So, I mean, we've been talking since January, seeing each other since March, and he is my breath of fresh air. He is completely different than anyone I've dated. He treats me differently than anyone I've dated. And he makes me feel like the most special woman on the planet.
That's awesome. So it took some persistence. Did you ever take a break from dating apps, or did you just say, I'm just going to stick with it until I find somebody?
I just kind of like stuck with it. At some point, I will say, because my sister met her husband on Hinge too. And at some point, I gave her my login information to be my like dating life bouncer. And
yeah, that's a good idea.
So like I would go to work and I would get home from work and she had these like long conversations with men that I had. No, I was like,
that
hold
is
on,
awesome.
Like, I got to catch up. Like, I've never seen this movie. What are you talking about with this guy? So yeah, I kind of gave up for like 3 months and let my sister take the reins. But once she had deleted the app because she was sick of dealing with these men I was matching with, is actually when I matched with my boyfriend now.
That's awesome. Do you think living in different locations, do you think living in Atlanta helped because there's a lot more people there? I'm just curious.
He lives in Columbus. So I'm not even dating someone from Atlanta.
Oh, he's in Columbus?
Columbus, Georgia.
How far away is that?
An hour and 45 minutes.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Not too bad. But the only reason he matched with me is because he was randomly in Atlanta visiting his friend.
Oh, so that's cool. That's very cool.
It's weird and special and very much so a gift from above.
That's awesome. Sounds like it's working. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, maybe we should switch Hinge accounts and just set each other up on dates.
Yeah. I was thinking about doing that for somebody else who's not on dating apps. I was like, dude, you have great pictures. Like, I'll set up a profile for you on Hinge. Like, I'll start vetting people for you. It's fine. Yeah.
So, Lauren, one thing we do every week is we do a mental health check. It's just ranging from 1 being the worst, 10 being the absolute best, over the moon. We've had pretty big ranges of answers from 10 to like 12 and down to like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So why don't you start? Tell us how you're feeling this week.
I feel so good right now, to be honest. I feel like in this last 3 months, I have like hit a stride that I haven't felt in a long time. And it's not just because of Chopped, like I love my job right now. I'm in a very healthy, stable relationship. I love my home. I feel physically good right now. I prioritize exercise and drinking water. And, I sweat all day because I'm working with my hands and cooking and tasting. And honestly, I feel like I'm in like the 9-10 range right now, which is crazy because I have been at a 1 before. Like,
yeah. Yep.
I have been there where I am reaching out to family and friends saying straight up, I need help.
Yes.
So I feel, and like, look, I want to be as relatable as possible. I've been all over this 1 to 10 range, but I feel really, really good about where my life is right now and where it's going.
Well, and that's good. That gives other people hope too, especially to know someone's been at a 1. Either they've needed medical attention or they've needed professional assistance to know like, it can get better. And I heard Tom Hanks say this on a roundtable, but he's like, whatever you're feeling in this moment, this too shall pass. And that's really helped me recently when I've had days of being down or whatever. So it's good to know that you can come from a 1 and be at a 10 if you just hold out one more day, you know?
You just got to hold out, and there are people who care. There are always people who care. There's always a loved one to reach out to. And if you don't have that, reach out to me.
Yeah. Yeah, reach out to us. Reach out to friends. Yeah. New friends. 100%. 100%.
Adam, where are you at this week?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, I think I'm like at an 8. I'm pretty good. I struggled a couple weeks ago. I had a really bad day. I felt like I was down at like a 4 or something like that. So it's good to, again, I waited and I'm good. So how about you, Reuben?
This week has kind of been all over the place. I came back from Pittsburgh on Monday and just went into work went into a pretty crappy situation at work.
And friends and other stuff.
But, going into tomorrow, I don't want to speak too much of what's happening tomorrow, but in short, I'm going to Nashville for a potential job opportunity, which I hope I can be able to talk about more. And so that's very exciting. And so I'm probably at an 8.5 right now, just getting giddy for
That's a morale
tomorrow.
boost, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
That's great. Okay. That's awesome. And we won't ask.
I know the little details of that, and I'm so happy for you.
I know you do. I will say, before we wrap up, I think Lauren is probably the person from the show that I keep in contact with most.
Yeah.
And then it's Kat and Matt. Funny. Kat and Matt. And then it's Paco. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, Lauren, I did not think we would still be as communicative as we are today. When we I'm still genuinely surprised and shocked when we're texting each other, or when we'll share a reel or something with each other on social media. So it's amazing knowing I made a genuine friend for the rest of my life with you.
Yeah, I was like I have a new best friend from the show. Who knew?
Yeah, that's so awesome. Great. Can you share your Instagram with us? Do you know it off the top of your head?
My Instagram handle?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just Lauren Windham.
It's so straight up.
How do you spell your last name?
Windham. Like the wind that blows and the ham you eat.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, so people can follow you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, this was so much fun. Look at her. Him,
everybody loves the cats. I was bring the cats in, so the audience will love the cats, no matter what. Well, thank you for joining us, Lauren. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank y'all so much. This was so fun.
Awesome. This will air next week, so, share it to all your friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't wait. I will.
Well, guys.
All right. Bye, you guys. Have a good night.
See ya.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Lauren. Everyone, check us out next week and be entertained.